On this episode of The Road Chose Me, we're exploring South Africa, from hiking in the Drakensberg to the wild coast to finally reaching the southern tip of the continent and the halfway point of the expedition. Every time we drop into South Africa from Lesotho, we find a more beautiful border crossing than the time before. Here we are in the heart of the southern Drakensberg Mountains. We've just stamped into South Africa and now we're dropping in elevation down to the valley floor. Simply stunning and not a person in sight. We miss the mountains of Alaska and Yukon nearly every day, and so now we have the opportunity, we simply can't pass it up. We set out hiking into Garden Castle National Park, which is right in the heart of these mountains. We start on the valley floor, hopping back and forward across a beautiful mountain stream. The water is surprisingly cold, and I do my best to rock hop across whenever I can, but at this one there was no other choice. We had to just walk straight through it. On the first day, we hike for a couple of hours before arriving at Pillar Cave, which we make our home for the night. It feels amazing to sleep out in the open air, listening to the rain pouring off the front of the cave. Here's the view in the morning for coffee. After multiple rounds of coffee, we drag ourselves out of our warm, dry cave and get hiking further up the valley. It gets impressively steep, and a few rock slides mean that we have to guess where the trail might be. Although, finally, when we top out, we know that it was all worthwhile. We realise we've actually hiked all the way back into Lesotho. Of course, there's no immigration here, so we won't get a stamp in our passports today. From the Drakensberg, we head south down to the wild coast, and on the advice of a local, we find the Wild Coast 4x4 trail. This is an impressive track that winds right along the extremely rugged coastline, and we spend days out here exploring our hearts out on every little track we can find. The scenery is simply breathtaking. It's so wild and remote out here, there's basically nobody around. And so, for one of the only times in South Africa, I feel comfortable wild camping right out here near the crashing waves. Here's footage of pulling away from our little hidden spot first thing in the morning. This is a little area that's been cleared out for a house to be built, but obviously no house has been built. Perfect for us for a night. South Africa has a famous hippo called Jessica, who was raised by hand and is quite tame and friendly. During our visit, she was feeling a bit under the weather, but here's another little guy that I was able to hand feed. He is absolutely enormous, though he seems really friendly, and as long as I keep throwing carrots in, he doesn't seem to worry about me at all. He also likes to be bottle-fed sweet tea, and while he's taking a drink, I managed to sneak in a peck on the cheek. Not surprisingly, his face is pretty slimy. South Africa is enormous and diverse, and so there's no way I can show you everything. Here we are crossing the country and camping just outside Cape Town on the stunning ocean. Next we hop into Cape Town and hike up Table Mountain for stunning views over the city of Cape Town. All of this, of course, is just the preamble to what comes next. Now we've driven all the way over to Cape Agulhas, the southern tip of Africa. Here you can see the swirling waters where the Indian Ocean meets the Atlantic. This is as far south as I can physically drive while in Africa. This feels like an immense achievement, and it's been a long time coming. After 32,000 miles and a little bit over a year, I've reached the halfway point of my African expedition. Of course, I'm not content just to hang around at the sign announcing the southern tip, so I drive around the corner trying to get the Jeep as close to the water as possible. I park and watch the waves for a while and contemplate what I've done and what lies ahead. From here, I swing north all the way to Cairo in Egypt. Part of me is really excited that I've made the halfway point, though part of me is already a little sad it's half over. I have so many more experiences and countries to explore, I can't wait to get cracking.